Can you guys hear me okay on the mic? Okay. How many of you have been to these First Friday events before? So a lot of you are probably used to seeing Christina stand up here and give the welcome and spiel. I am Christina. I've just dyed my hair and got a really good vacation tan. So with that being said, actually I'm filling in for her. She's at a conference today. So my name is Mike Jefferson, and on behalf of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, I would like to welcome you all to First Fridays. I also want to thank the Women's Business Center for allowing us to partner in this series. A couple of events to take note of before we get started. You all have a plethora of handouts on your table, all very good stuff, especially if you're all interested in starting or building your side business. First one, top 5 for small business. The next event is Wednesday, September the 26th, and it's the top 5 things to know about QuickBooks. And I know this echo sounds a little weird, so don't try not to pay too much attention to that. We'll go ahead and, I can't mute that, but we'll be all right. I know. Bloopers. Blooper reel. What's that? Yes. Yep. And the handout and information to register is all online on our website at dsmpartnership.com/events. Another thing that we have going on that's been quite awesome is we were able to partner with Goldman Sachs and their 10,000 Small Business Program. Again, if you're looking to build a business, definitely look into this. All the requirements are on the back of this flyer, anything from a minimum of 2 employees, including the owner, so you don't have to be a large business to take part in this, so definitely check that out. Upcoming e-commerce. Now as we move on, e-commerce is becoming a big thing. Selling online is becoming huge and is only going to get bigger as we go on in time. So we are hosting e-commerce for small business on Tuesday, September the 11th, this Tuesday actually, and it's, again, it's here. No, it's at NCMEC, sorry. It's at NCMEC Professional Solutions out in Clive. Again, you can register on our website for this. So everything about expanding your revenue stream online, which again, seems to be where we're heading in the future. And then the final save the date, Friday, November 9th for our Small Business Success Summit. Again, ton of information. We have some keynote speakers. I believe Google is one of our keynote speakers at that event as well. So the fee that you pay for it, $79 or $99, a lot less than the information that you're going to get in return for that investment. You have to consider it an investment and not a cost. So again, if you're looking to build your small business, these events I highly recommend you checking out. And that is it for me. Christina's going back on vacation. I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to go ahead and get started.
Thank you. And the Small Business Success Summit that Mike was sharing as well, there's a ton of resource partners that also have booths set up, so in between sessions and afterwards during the social hour. So there's just a lot of wonderful resources in the community that are here to ultimately help all of you. I'm Amy Hutchins. I'm the program manager for the Iowa Women's Business Center. So who here is new to any sort of engagement with the Women's Business Center? I know there's a couple in back. And then I also see several familiar faces here as well. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the Women's Business Center, and then we'll introduce Angela, but we also want to hear a little bit about you all as well. So the Iowa Women's Business Center is the only women's business center in the state of Iowa that is partially funded by the SBA. So they've been a wonderful partner and collaborator for us as well. And our primary purpose is to just be out in the community and offer education and resources to help businesses in Iowa start and grow. And our Women's Business Center is a part of the Iowa Center for Economic Success. And the Iowa Center for Economic Success ultimately has 4 programs. So the Women's Business Center is one of them. We also are a VITA site, so we offer free tax prep and planning all year round. So a wonderful resource to take advantage of there. We also have a microloan team. So we carry the loan program for the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and we're able to grant up to $50,000 in loans for businesses looking to start and or grow their current setup. And then we also have a program called FinCapital. So we're the only all-female angel investor network in the state of Iowa. So lots of great integrated resources there that you can find at the Iowa Center. We have a number of programs coming up also among all the material on your desk. One is Dream Builders, and I see a couple former Dream Builder graduates here, our next Dream Builder session starts on October 1st, and that's an 8-week session to help you put together your business plan. So we bring in subject matter experts from small business lawyers to business insurance experts, tax experts, you name it. And if anyone is interested, I can connect you with some of the graduates that are in the room after this program, and you can learn a little bit more. We also have one of our Focus Me sessions that starts mid-October as well. And what we do here is it's a small, more intimate group. We like to limit it to 6 women, and that is a woman only. I should caveat and say just because we're the Women's Business Center doesn't mean that we don't serve men as well. I'm looking at the men. But this particular program is for women only, and what we do is we host this quarterly, and we bring in a life coach. And it's really an 8-week session where you're getting to know the women in your group. You have a facilitator. Our next facilitator is actually here on site, so I can introduce you to Jessica afterwards. And it's about accountability and, having kind of that network that you can trust and confide in as you look to advance through maybe even some challenges that you have going on personally or professionally. Okay, so with that, I want to introduce Angela first and have her come up here. And why don't we start, Angela, by just talking a little bit about yourself and your background, and then before we jump into the interview, we'll just kind of get a feel for some of you in the room as well.
I'm mic'd up, so we're good.
Oh, you don't need this? And we can sit.
Yeah, we can sit. Okay, so I'm so glad everybody's here. It's kind of a joy. This is kind of emotional for me because so many of you I know and I've known in professional ways. And so I just have to give a big thank you to DeShera because I would not be doing this if it wasn't for her loving heart and her kindness in suggesting that I speak. It's not something that I do often, but she's just a wonderful joy and hooked me up with Amy. And so I'm just going to share my heart and share my journey. And I hope all of you take advantage of the material that the Iowa Women Business Center has to offer, and also take advantage of my time because I want to be a resource for you to help you grow your business, help you grow professionally in any way that I can.
Love it. Okay, so real quick, because we do have a packed house, but we would love to just understand a little bit about who you are and how you found your way here, and then we'll kind of jump in. So I'm looking over to the right here because you're right up front.
Okay, I'm Natalie Hustiniano Fall. An HR senior leader at Principal, and I'm just looking for some different paths. So when I saw your thing, I thought that's pretty cool.
How did you hear about the First Friday?
I think it was a business record or yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Russ Dale. I'm part of the Iowa Center loan team, but I'm also trying to think of ideas for businesses, so that's why I like coming to these. Yeah.
I'm Jessica Ireland. I am a life coach and expanding my business to being a little more crafty and creating upcycle gifts and games. So.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Judkins. I'm Client Development Director for RDG Planning and Design, and we have basically what amounts to a lot of small businesses housed within our larger umbrella. So I'm looking for new ways to think entrepreneurially. I'm also on the Clive City Council, and the ISED is located in Clive. So been looking forward to coming to an event. And Angela made this the reason I wanted to come today.
That's wonderful.
Hi, I'm Courtney Strutt-Todd from Davis Brown Law Firm. So one of the reasons I came today, besides I serve on the board for the Iowa Center, but also I'm always encouraged to see people who can turn from something like a lawyer background into something creative and fun. And so that's inspiring. Just wanted to hear about it.
You don't think law's fun?
It is fun.
Allison Piazza, Easter Seals, Iowa. I'm Director of Corporate Relationships, so I always enjoy networking events.
Anna Olson with Easter Seals, Iowa. I'm a development specialist, so kind of similar, like to get out to networking events.
I'm Leslie Payne. I'm a mixed media artist. The first networking event I went to, I met Angela, and making your own work, mine tends to stop at the framing part. So I thought it was a good timing, and I wanted to support her public speaking.
Hi, I'm Bill Wright. I am Managing Director at CB RE Hubble Commercial, real estate brokerage firm in West Des Moines. And I am a brand new member of the board at the Iowa Center of Economic Success with Courtney. And this is like the first thing I've ever done. So I'm excited to be here.
I'm Quashonda, and I currently graduated from the Dream Builders class that ended last week. Yay. My business is specializing in natural hair.
My name is Gina, and I'm here for moral support.
I'm going to come back to you in 1 second.
Hi, my name is Lauren Schultz. I just recently moved to Des Moines, so thank you. My husband and I just moved from Michigan, and I was working as a fundraising and communications consultant for nonprofits, and so I am looking to build my business here now. So meet people, figure out what's going on in the nonprofit scene, that sort of thing.
Hi, I'm Malka Nagar, and I do financial services, help people manage money. I work for New York Life and a friend of Angela's for many years, and so my first visit here. And I work with a lot of individuals who have opened small businesses, have growing small businesses, and so thought I'd come and see what you guys are all about.
Hi, I'm Lisa Walker, and I'll just say that it's a pleasure to be here. I am an operational risk consultant at Wells Fargo. I work downtown. I audit the interview process, and I'm here because I'm looking to start my own business.
Back over.
I'm Talis Strube, and I guess I'm a serial entrepreneur now. I'm opening a ballroom dance studio in East Village, actually, which is part of my career. And then I'm also here today with my co-founder of Marry My City, which is a startup, and I'll let Caitlin talk about that.
Hey guys, I'm Caitlin, the co-founder. Marry My City is an online gift registry that offers local experiences. So getting away from kind of big box stores and stuff and getting people to experience local. So we're in that business together, and just recently expanded to Des Moines. I actually traveled from Cedar Rapids today, so excited to just, I know. So yeah, excited to be here, excited to hear another story and just get some perspective. So.
Buy local.
My name is Dewana Bradley, and I am the owner of Iowa Urban Media. We publish the Urban Experience magazine, which I'm the editor-in-chief of, and I am here because Angela has been my life mentor. I'm going to call her that, and she helped me really when we were getting things started, and she continues to pour into me, and so I'm grateful for that and wanted to be here to support her today. Oh, and I was a part of the Dream Builders class, too.
Hello, I'm Jackie McGee. I'm Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Collaboration at Mercy Medical Center, and I also am here to support my sister, Angela.
Hi, my name is Deshara Bohanna, and I design luxury wreaths and centerpieces. And I'm here for Angela because she always has good stuff to share. So.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bartusik, and I am with the Iowa Center for Economic Success as the Director of Education and Resources.
I'm Claire Ryman, and I'm with the Iowa Center for Economic Success, and I'm the Client Opportunities Coordinator in the Women's Business Center.
Hi, I'm Megan Milligan. I'm also with the Iowa Center. I should have, if I hadn't been late, I would have spread out more. But anyway, excited to see so many familiar faces in the crowd.
Thank you, guys. I think that's always helpful to kind of help the networking part a little bit. But now it's about you, ma'am. So you kind of gave a brief introduction, but we haven't talked about the great frame up at all. So why don't you just talk a little bit about your store and what you do and how you sort of landed there?
Okay, we'll do. Well, first, of course,
it's a big question.
We have to do our commercials. So on your table, you have some information that I'd like you to share. We are partnering with 3 other women businesses. Is it Bill? You're on the board now. I used to be on the board of ISCD Ventures, so I have a passion for the Iowa Women Business Center and anything that has to do with entrepreneurship. So we've partnered with women-owned, minority-owned businesses, and these events, the first one was a sip and shop, the second ones are paint parties, and then we have one coming up on the 27th, which is an all-local artist event. Also on your table should be probably a poster flyer that talks about the event. Is in St. Charles. The woman who owns the business is a great member of an organization that I highly recommend called BNI. It's a networking group, and so we collaborated, and I am a big fan of collaborations because you can use your resources and cross-pollinate your networks. So that is on your table. Please share that with any Iowa local artists because it's an all local artist exhibit. And then each one of you gets an exclusive offer to come to the Great Frame Up. Please use it for custom framing or share it with someone who you know might need custom framing. Come in and see one of DeShera's beautiful wreaths because we feature her wonderful designs in our shop. And if you are a happy customer, please go on and fill out a review for us on Google and Facebook and all those social media sites. And for the first 3 questions, when we have time for questions, I have prizes. So.
Nice. See a marketer.
There you go.
Marketer at heart. Okay, so the Great Frame Up.
Right. Okay, so it's a custom framing shop and art gallery. I always wanted to have my own business. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs. When I was in, I don't know, like 4th grade or something, I was a part of the jury for the Salem Witch Trials in social studies class. And I'm like sitting in the jury and somebody else is, grilling the witnesses. And I'm like, what? People get paid to do that? Oh my gosh, I can do that. So, I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And as I expanded my learning curve, I wanted to do international work because I traveled to Africa and I traveled to Europe, and I said I could do both. So as I traveled up the corporate ladder and I worked for 2 different administrations, Republican, Democrat. I worked for Waste Management. I worked for Maytag when I moved here, and we did international work. We did employment and labor work, but for companies that were outside the United States, and we did work in immigration. So, I felt like I did all the international stuff that I needed to do. What's next? And so I never thought I would only do one thing in my life. As I looked around, I looked at all of these different opportunities to have a business. I looked at Chick-fil-A, I looked at, of course, the Great Frame Up, I looked at all of these different types of businesses, and one thing I found was you have to really like it. So I'm not a horrible cook, but I don't want to live in the kitchen. So, Chick-fil-A just got X'd off the list because you have to want to be able to be around food all the time. And I'm a foodie, but like in a snobby kind of way, not in a greasy kind of way. So I enjoyed artwork. I've always wanted to have like bookstore, art gallery, but then as you look at the trends of where things going, everybody's doing nooks. Nobody is really doing the small bookstores. And so you have to look at things that are sustainable, that are going to be long-term. And so for some reason, I thought art was long-term. Who knew? Then, I love Des Moines. Des Moines is just a great place. Just like the sign says, Iowa's easy living, great place to live, great place to grow. This is just where God told me to stay. So, I stayed and I've grown and it's been a blessing. It's been a struggle, but I've had some amazing friends. A lot of them are here and a lot of them have just supported me through my church and through the community. And I really wanted it to be a little different than the average frame shop. I wanted it to be something where people could learn about local artists. And so since the very beginning, over the last 13 years, every first Thursday we feature a local artist. Usually through October, November. December, November is our busy time because people are like, oh my gosh, it's time to give gifts. We have to give gifts for Hanukkah and Christmas and whatever else we're going to celebrate during that time. And then they get ready for Thanksgiving. So that's probably our busiest time. I try to do features for different community events and partner with a lot of nonprofits. So we've done features with high school students. The first couple years I was open, we were able to feature a student from Valley and then a student from Dowling, and both of those times the students in Iowa were national winners. They got a trip to New York and then to California to meet Jane Seymour, so it was pretty spectacular. Iowans doing amazing things, so that was awesome.
Talk about your location a bit too, because I wasn't even really familiar with how West Glen came to
Sure.
be and how it was originally pitched to you and the Great Frame Up.
Sure. Well, a little history for Hubble there. I went to the trailer that one of the business owners was in at the time before West Glen was really open. And he said, "Oh my God, you're exactly what we want. We want to create this Avenue of the Arts with all of these galleries and wonderful shops that are local that people can go to." And I was like, awesome, I'm there, you know. And one other gallery came after Styx was there, and then Styx moved, and then Styx moved again, and then Styx is only in the East Village. So over the progression of time, I'm like on the Avenue of the Arts in West Glen, but I'm the only gallery there. So that has been a progression that has been unpredictable, because I thought it was kind of going to be like, I don't know how many people have traveled to like Monterey or those kind of places, but I thought it was going to be a series of galleries and lots of places where people can get artwork, and then they would just come for me for framing. So I have the exclusive for framing, but I'm also the exclusive for art too, because nobody else is selling art, which is, you know, part and parcel of the times. You know, I opened in 2005, and people say, well, the market was bad around that time, but it never really has been amazing. It's just steady, and it grows, and that's kind of how business is. I was talking to another long-term business woman who's been in business longer than I have, and she says, people don't realize just because you've been in business 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, whatever, it's always a journey. There are always ebbs and flows. There are always hills and valleys, but hey, that's when I put on Torrent Hill song and I keep going, you know, and recognize that's just part of the process when you are in business.
So talk about, let's talk about the fact that the Great Frame Up is a franchise, because a lot of people, when they come to us, they haven't thought about the fact that you can be a business owner without having to start from the ground up. So share a little bit about your research process with the Great Frame Up, and even when you talk about West Glen, were you already a franchise owner and you just didn't have a space yet, so that's what you were kind of seeking out, and then how they as a franchise support you as a business owner or not support you?
Sure. No, that's a great question. I did a lot of research related to that because I also do small business coaching on the side. And so the initial business that I opened from my work with human resource professionals was to do business coaching and to do what a lot of people are doing, life coaching, whatever those things are. And as I worked with ISCD and the Iowa Women Business Center now, I learned about the business plan process. And so that was my focus, to make sure people had a really good business plan, and during the research, recognize that franchises are just different. And that requires doing more diligence. They're oftentimes stricter to get involved. They require maybe more capital than if you were going to open it up with your own name. And so I like the idea of it being somewhat turnkey, but also more viable. I'm from Chicago. The Great Frame Up is a franchise that I recognize from Chicago. I couldn't believe it wasn't in Des Moines, kind of like I couldn't believe a lot of things. Krispy Kreme wasn't in Des Moines when I moved here 18 years ago. So there's a lot of stuff that we needed, you know, so we needed a Great Frame Up. So that was time. And as I did my research, I recognized, you know, I went to the corporate office in St. Louis. I was very familiar with St. Louis because that's where I went to law school. And as a lawyer, you know, you want to review the agreements. The rules on franchising are very favorable to Iowans, which is awesome. And they also require back office support, but you don't want it to be so much that they dictate everything. So for example, McDonald's, you're pretty much dictated on every little thing. The Great Frame Up doesn't dictate every little thing. The size of the space is up to you, and you know, they don't require daily reports, that sort of thing. But they give you the back office support. So for example, when I first opened in 2005, I had like 60 orders within a month. I was like, help, how am I gonna do this? I'm still learning everything. So they sent somebody to help me catch up on my orders. The other thing that they have done is help support the website, which is huge because, you know, the internet is always changing, the web is always changing, and you just don't have time capital-wise to invest in that. So that's something. The marketing piece is something that is very helpful because they are big believers in direct mail, and then you can get that in volume. which you wouldn't necessarily be able to do individually. But there's a cost to that. I mean, there are royalty fees that you pay. And so as an individual business owner, you would not have to pay royalty fees, but I have to pay those. And the other reason I looked at a franchise is because I didn't have experience in custom framing or art. All my experience was in law and litigation and that sort of piece. So I needed to have someone who had a good brand name, a recognizable brand name that people would go to if they were traveling to Des Moines from another city. So if people are traveling from California, they're familiar with the Great Frame Up, so they're gonna come to me, you know? Just like Bebop's is a great place to go eat a burger. I love them. But outside of Des Moines, you may not know Bebop's, but you would definitely know some of the other burger places. So it's kind of one of those things. I wanted a name that was recognized, that when people traveled, and they would recognize it and go to it. So,
what about kind of financially buying into this? I think, at least in dialogues with people historically, franchises almost seem off limits because they think there's just no way I can afford to buy into a franchise. So how did you approach your transition from Maytag basically into financing the Great Frame Up?
Right, well, I just used all my savings. And, you know, I was just all in, and I continue to be all in because for me, there was a commitment. And the alternative after that is this is my retirement. So like my retirement money has gone in, my savings has gone in, my sweat equity has gone in. My dad looked at it and says, okay, well, how much time you invested in your education, also that opportunity cost goes in. So what I'm not earning also goes in. And at the end of the day, you know, prayerfully, then I'll have something that's sellable, that, you know, is a marketable entity and not as marketable as some entities, so it's not necessarily as marketable as Chick-fil-A would be, but it's probably a lot more marketable than Angela's Frame Shop. And that's the idea. You know, I have something that someone would buy, not because my name is on it, but because the Great Frame Up's name is on it. And so there's brand recognition that associated with buying into a franchise. You get this back office support, but you also have something that is sellable. So yes, the Great Frame Up is a franchise and it is located in West Glen, but it's also my retirement because, you know, preferably when I get ready to exit this, I'll be able to, you know, sign it over to someone who'll pay me for it. Whereas not necessarily would every small business owner be able to say that someone's going to purchase their business. But that's the ultimate goal. I'm always sad when a small business goes out of business and no one purchases it. Because some people feel like, well, my customer list is worth so much value, but not really, because if you go out of business and I open a business right next to yours, I'm going to get your customers. So what's really valuable in your business when you sell it, unless you've established a very strong brand? And then people are like, oh yeah, West End, I'm going to buy that, whatever it is that the brand is.
Okay, so you're all in. You're in a little debt.
Yep.
You open. What was your one?
I'm in a lot of debt. What are you
Okay,
talking about?
let's rephrase that. You're
I'm
in a lot of debt.
I got the SBA loan thanks to ISCG. I had a home equity loan. I have all my retirement savings over the years. So I'm in.
Okay, so you got nothing.
Yeah. I'm not. Exactly.
So then how was year one?
Year one was hard.
Yeah.
Year one was hard. Year two was hard. 3, 4, 5.
Talked about having like 60 orders right away. But then you also shared that was a little misleading because your first thought was, I can't keep up with this. And then all of a sudden that kind of stopped.
Right. You know, what happened was as I was growing the business, it ebbed and flowed. So, you know, you might have one week where you have 20 orders and another week where you're like whistling Dixie. Like, hello, does anybody know I'm open? You open the door, you're trying to see if it works, you know? It's just one of those things. And so then you go out and you talk to people and they say, I'm gonna bring something in, I'm gonna bring something in. And I'm not one of those people traditionally that's like my best friend, Molka. She's amazing. She can go after those sales. She's amazing. I learned so much from her. Some people are really good at follow-up. I'm thinking, oh, they'll get to me. They're not gonna get to you. They're gonna go somewhere else, or that's gonna be in the back of their, you know, car, and then they're gonna put it in the house. So you do have to call and follow up. And, you know, if somebody comes in and with a quote, I have finally learned that you just have to call them and bug them and follow up. And most people are super busy, even more so now than, maybe 5 years ago. You just have to remind them that you have a sale going on, or, you have a brand new item in. I had a friend who worked for Yonkers, and she said they're really good customers. They would call them and tell them about pre-sales. So before it's announced to the public, this is what's going on. And that's when they got their revenue stream going. So it's always trying to stay in front of people and remind them. But that was an ebb and a flow because not everybody knew about West Glen. It was a brand new area. Not everybody knew about me. I was more of a destination, need to have. And then people don't always realize it's not shake and stir. They don't always realize that it's not drive-through, that we're custom framing, like we make the things in the back. So it takes, a week. It might take 2 weeks, whereas, some things, more complex things may take 3 weeks if it's a shadow box with a lot of items in it. So they want it like in 2 days or the next day, or can I just come pick it up and drop it off and wait? You could wait, but it won't be done, so that was part of it too.
Okay, so, we already talked about how you started in a financially tough position, but it didn't necessarily get better for a while. And we chatted a little bit about cash flow and learning the importance of that. So will you share a little bit about just the troubles that you did experience financially and how you overcame that?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that nobody really was comfortable talking about, and I'm sharing it because I can give glory to God for getting me out of it, because I had some really good customers that were consistent, but recognizing that you can't pay all your bills is just a daunting task, because like I taught on budgeting, that's not a good thing. But then you have to talk to your vendors and explain to them, this might be where I am. I might be 30 days out, I might be 60 days out. I went to the landlord and talked about renegotiating my lease, because that was one of the biggest pieces of taking the cash flow out. It's like, if I don't have a certain revenue stream, if I don't have $10,000 coming in this week, I don't have $2,000 to give to you. And talking to one of the things that Maytag did, they had like a 90-day policy, which most people don't even realize. Big companies, they don't pay on the day. Their invoices sit. And they pay when they get ready to. So they negotiated all our agreements. It was like 90 days. It was a given. So then you have to be, as a small business owner, you're like, okay, I don't have cash flow this month, so you just need to hold out for a minute. Just chill, and you have to tell them, like, I don't have it, and so I can't give you on a turnip. When it comes in, then you'll be the first one, you're the next one up on the queue. I have one person in, and when I have the $3,000, you'll get it, but until then, I'm paying this person. And most people will work with you, and they'll work with you if you keep your word.
You even went to the bank at one point, didn't you, for
I
your
did.
mortgage?
I did. I went to the bank. I went to them, and Wells Fargo was my bank, and I told them, okay, now I've been paying this SBA loan, and it's great, but you guys need to just hold off for a second, because I don't have any money coming in. So I could just, can we just do the principal? And you just have to work with people, and hopefully they will work with you. And this was during the time I was talking to my dad a lot, and he was, he's in development, and he would say, well, nobody's paying anybody. Everybody's telling people just hold tight, because the money wasn't there. And so, part of it is relationship-based, but I also learned that it's not what people pretend to be. When they come in, sometimes you think, okay, they come in, they drive this big fancy car, or they place this order for, $6,000 worth of product, and then they're slow pay. And you're like, get out of here. So, you don't realize that the person that you thought was going to be able to cash flow that month, they're not even paying the full bill. They're only paying dribbles. I had one client, and they got this big order, and I'm like, this is great. This is going to set me for this month. And they paid like $100 a month for the next 10 months. I'm like, oh my gosh. I learned, so sometimes the big clients that you think are going to be the ones that are going to help float you through a small period actually end up being the ones that it's nice to get the money, but you don't get it when you think you're going to get it. And so I learned a lot about managing cash flow and managing expectations. One of the things I did, not all frame shops do it, but one of the things I did, I just told my customers that I require payment up front. And some people are like, oh my gosh, you mean you require deposit? The full deposit. I mean, this is like, that's kind of how it is. If you buy an airline ticket, right? then you pay for your whole airline ticket, even if, your flight's delayed or, they have a hurricane and you can't go wherever you're trying to go. You have to get a voucher, but, that money's out of your account or charged to your card. So you just kind of have to work with people. And some people were upset about it. Some people were more resistant to it. But after a while, people, they get used to it. Or they go somewhere else. You kind of just have to let it go because, the phone is going to ring and somebody's going to ask for their money. So you have to be able to give it to them. And the only way you're going to give it to them is if your clients are giving it to you.
Well, and what I love about Angela's approach to all of this is we were talking about this is how a lot of businesses fail because they start to not be able to pay their mortgage and have no cash flow coming in. And if they don't have the passion that you were talking about, then it almost seems like an easier solution to just walk away, which I think is where you were going earlier with you have to be passionate about it.
And then you have to like prioritize. Like if you have people working for you, you need to pay your people. So you have to have enough for payroll. And then one of the questions that you asked me, well, do you pay yourself? Well, sometimes, and then sometimes you don't, because you have to pay your people. And your people are the engine. I'm really blessed because I've had amazing people work for me over the years. And it's labor intensive, but it's also customer service. And you have to have really good people who are going to continue to support you in order for you to grow. And you can't miss a payment. Has anyone ever worked for somebody who missed a payment? You don't even want to work for that person anymore. You're like, am I going in? Oh, hold that check. No, that's not good. I mean, not to... mention all the penalties that come with it, but it's just not a good practice. So that's one of those high priority bills you pay, And then the other ones that you have to pay are the ones that are the fuel for your business. Some, you gotta pay the phone bill. That one you gotta pay because people are calling. You can't get the phone cut off. And then people who will work with you and negotiate with you, sometimes some people call it, the shell game or shuffling, but sometimes people understand, as long as you get them something, because the alternative is you go out of business. And so I could give you $500 today and you will get no more $500 from me. Or I could give you $250 today and you will get $250 for me for 10 years. So most people recognize that if they work with you, they'll get more money over the long haul other than just, getting their payment right away and then you never ordering from them again or going out of business.
How do you approach hiring employees? Is it a seasonal thing? Do they truly come on staff full time year round?
I have always had part-time employees because I haven't had a sustainable income level to bring in a full manager and also pay myself a salary. So I'm still struggling in that regard. It would be wonderful to be able to say I'm making a great salary and I have a full-time manager. I just don't have that. In the time that I've been a franchise for the Great Frame Up, there've been 4 other shops come and go in Des Moines that the franchise has owned. And I'm the last one standing, so praise God for that. If you've never seen a miracle, just drive by the Great Frame Up in West Des Moines. Yes, they happen, just like on Hanukkah. I mean, telling you, the miracles are happening. And in Des Moines, it's at the Great Frame Up because we're still open. And it's a struggle, but you have to be able to balance. And sometimes you have to balance what is important. And sometimes those priorities become, if you have a staff and your busy time is a certain season, then you just have to ramp up to get the orders out during that season. And then you just let people know, well, this is our slow time. Like I had an intern and she was amazing. And so then I gave her some more hours and then I realized, okay, this is summertime. It's not Whistling Dixie, but it's not cash flow rich. So I'm going to have to just let you go for the summer, and then you can come back if things pick up during our busy time, which is Christmas time. I said, but who's really hiring? Baskin-Robbins, they're busy.
Chick-fil-A.
They got a sign now hiring all the time because people are getting ice cream. It's summertime. So, you just have to balance what works because it's not always going to work for you to have a full staff. And it didn't work for me, and it doesn't work. It works for me to have a lot of people during the holiday time.
Well, and so you have regulars, but you're always looking for new people to walk in that door. So what are you doing to help get those new people to walk in the door?
I would say networking is so key. Meeting new people and telling them what you do. And then this is the other thing, what I'm trying to do a better job is following up. So initially, like in 2005, this is 2018, initially in 2005, there was not this big social media buzz. It was there, but not totally. And so back then, in the old days, I would print, invitations and hand those to people related to the art events that I would do. And then, that kind of went by the wayside, and now we just post on social media the art events. And now, because I have a young staff, they have transitioned me to Instagram. So now I'm, IGing and IG Live and all that cool stuff, because everything moves and it morphs, and then you cut your costs down for paper, but you have to have more touches. So way back in 2005, the rule of thumb was about 7 touches is what, it takes to get people to have them be a solid customer. Now I think it's probably about 25 touches, because people have more things coming at them. And they have more things that, and so it's kind of like rabbit, squirrel, people's attentions are going everywhere. So whereas I may have done it 2 weeks ahead of time, now I do it the week of, the day before. Urgent, only 1 hour left, 24 hours we're opening or whatever, because people are last minute. And it's not because they don't want to come to your party, but the party has been on the calendar for a month. And then somebody just told them that there's going to be a clown downtown who's going to give away prizes. And you're like, I lost out to the clown? Yeah, because you're not giving away prizes. And so, it's the last thing that they remember that sounds the most exciting, even though your thing has been on their calendar forever. Unless it's something big like, a wedding. But, other than that.
And then you still don't know.
Well, because they've already bought their ticket, they got the shoes, they got the outfit. They've already invested other things for that, that event.
So how do you get yourself out there then? You said B&I has been a huge help for
B&I
you.
has been huge.
Any other B&I folks?
Awesome. There's some other networking events, and I'm on a lot of boards.
Yeah.
I have been a member of so many different boards. Over the years.
How has that sort of just helped you professionally and personally?
It helps me because they're germane to the topic matter that I'm in. For example, when I transitioned from working in the legal department, people still thought, I had that law brain, so they just asked me to be on all these boards. So that worked, I was on the ISCD Ventures board. I mentioned that. I was on the board for Des Moines Performing Arts. Currently, I'm on the board for the Des Moines Arts Center. I'm a member of the Links, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta, but some of the organizations that I'm in don't necessarily always support me. You do them because it's the right thing to do, you're a part of the community, and then you also would support their efforts. So, and I can't give money to lots of organizations, but I do give gift certificates toward custom framing. Why? Because it's a call to action and it keeps my brand out there, but also I believe in the organization. I believe in what they're doing. Like the event that we're doing for the All Iowa Artists at All Saints, a portion of the proceeds will go to Toys for Tots. Well, that's like a no-brainer because I've always given money to Toys for Tots. I have a box where, it's a great organization. So, partnering with organizations that do good, make you feel good when you have to go to work all the time, And that's why I opened, so I could give, money to the kingdom and give to charities and support local,
So we have a lot of people that'll share with us that one of the reasons they're thinking about venturing out on their own is to help improve work-life balance.
That is not why you should. Work-life balance is not the reason, because you work harder. You do work hard. You don't really think, I never thought I would work harder than when I practiced law. That was hard. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed arguing. I enjoyed having the cases. The international time zone I didn't like, but when it's our holiday season, we're like elves up in there. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we're still going because people want their stuff for Christmas. They're not playing. They'll melt down in the middle of the store. So you got to get their stuff done because, Susie needs her thing and it has to be wrapped. And they never told you that their December 25th is December 2nd. And I'm not kidding. Like, people don't tell you when they celebrate Christmas. They don't tell you when they're out of town. So you're like, well, wait, I thought I had 10 more days. No, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 12th, you know? So we have to ask, when do you celebrate? When do you celebrate? When do you celebrate? Are you celebrating early? Are you going out of town? One time I know I was on the road and somebody called and said, you're closed. I was like, it's Christmas Eve, but I need my gift. So I turned around and gave it to her. And it was, you know, it was a good customer. She gave me a bottle of wine afterwards. But it was like one of those things, you know she's doing a meltdown because they haven't planned on anything else. This is like their one gift. It's like, and it's your fault because they only got one gift. But it's okay. It's just, you know, it's one of those things. It's not a work-life balance thing. It's a passion because
it has to be, right? So I was just going to say, less of a work-life balance going on. In a lot of cases, it might be less money than the corporate job you just left. So why? Why do you do it?
Yeah, you have to have a big why. You have to have, I don't know if anybody watched like Hard Knocks. That was so cool. But the guys were talking about sports, and you have to have something that's a why for you, why you're doing it. And mine is, you know, to give to the kingdom. Mine is to give to charities and give to missions, and that's why I do it. I mean, it's crazy. I should have been closed. I could talk about like 5 other businesses that opened around the time I opened and the reasons why they closed. And I think part of it because I have like a bulldog mentality and they have a banker mentality. So if you don't have a banker mentality, you're cool to be an entrepreneur. But if you are looking at the numbers, you are going to be gone. Because if you're not making your money, you're going to be like, okay, why am I doing this? And so there has to be a bigger why that keeps you going. And then people always like to celebrate those who are extremely successful, but they never like to talk about the time when they were living out their car. Because it's a struggle if you are not independently wealthy and you don't have someone who's going to be funding you through those ebbs and flows. So that's kind of what I would say. I mean, I try to think that you have a good opportunity to have a work-life balance because you need to modulate that. You know, I was a foster mom for a period of time, and so the kids came into the store with me. And, you know, you have family, you have to balance that, and I think prayer really helps. But if you think that being an entrepreneur is going to be less work than a corporate job, I would say it's different, and it's joyful in many ways, but if you have a very irate customer, it's no different than having a very irate judge. It's kind of just the same. Yeah, but I think your life experiences, you're able to deal with it because you've had that experience from when you worked in a corporate position and you know how to deal with, you know, circumstances. You know how to manage many tasks and many projects, so you're equipped to do it. You may not be doing it at your zenith because when you're just focused on 1 or 2 things and you have 1 or 2 projects and you can close it down at the end of the week, then you're good. But when you're an entrepreneur, the stuff just keeps percolating. It keeps going. You just, you know, some stuff you just ignore, like the box of frames in the back that need to be put up. That just sits there because the priority is less unless somebody comes in and tells you that needs to move because you have to get something checked off the list. So,
what do you love most about it?
I like interacting with the people, but I like the fun projects. I like supporting young artists and helping them understand how to market themselves, and explain, or older artists, and explain to them that it's very important that they get emails and that they send emails out to people and that they don't forget the traditional ways to market themselves, which is call people and text people and remind them, because they're not going to come buy your stuff just because they're your friends. You have to tell them, no, this is $25. You can't keep putting everything on sale because you have, you know, bills to pay. So I like encouraging people to think about the value that they have in their creativity and get paid for it, and make sure that they are getting compensated for their brain as well as their creative talent and their time. A lot of people don't value their time, and so I enjoy the coaching part and also the creative part, like making
that
something.
Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Angela's like master connector. I think the first time I walked into your shop, you're like, well, you need to be talking to this person, this person, this person, this person. Okay, go. And I was like, could you repeat those names again? But talk about just how the connections, too, have helped you and how you've helped others just by being supportive.
Well, I mean, I just think, you know, Des Moines is just a small town. And we all know somebody who knows somebody. And it's important to realize that you, not only are you your brand, but your business is your brand. And then people are going to refer people to you naturally. So it's important to foster those relationships and cultivate those relationships. And that's a really hard thing to do. To have coffees with people, have lunches with people, and then circle back, because people will give you leads, and then you have to go back and follow up on those leads. And some people are more germane than others to your industry, but then I did some network marketing before I opened my business, and so we often prejudge people, but you don't want to do that, because you can prejudge someone completely out of your market, and they could be your cash cow. You know, so you have to just be open to get to know people outside of your comfort zone. And it's really hard to walk into a room and say, hi, my name is Angela. Hi, this is what I do. It's hard to do. It's not like, you know, I can tell people all the time, like, when it's time for me to go to a networking event, I can talk to myself. It's like, I gotta go to another networking event. I don't want to go. But, I mean, I do get business out of it, because people are like, oh, yeah, looking at you reminds me I got a picture I need to bring in. Looking at you reminds me, da-da-da-da-da. And then sometimes they remember, sometimes they forget. But if they never see you out kind of like swirling around, then they're not going to think about, oh, I need to buy a wreath for Christmas as well as for fall, you know? But they have to see you and be like, and it's kind of like you're guilting them into it, because you're giving them the puppy dog look. Like, yeah, because I want to stay open. But also you're like encouraging them, like, you know what? It's important. You got a TikTok. This is what you need to do. And I think people like to support people that are in their network, and they want you to be successful. If they are someone that is passionate about what they do and you're supporting them, especially if you go attend an event and it's a charitable event, and they're like, well, you always support us. Like the artist we had that we'll have this month, she told her family members last night, because we had a soft opening for her, oh, and Angela always supports BWA and the Black Bag Bash. Well, I cannot write a check for them, but I always give them gift certificates. And so she just remembered that. And so whatever it is that you do, people will remember it, and they'll, you know, refer you people for that. So networking is hard, but it's important.
Okay, so that's probably obviously a key tip that you would give folks, but time went fast. So if you had to summarize some of the tips or advice for people that are either looking to start a business or grow their business, I know you've thought about this a lot, so what do you got?
Okay, I got 7 tips for you. 7 tips, and if you email me, then I'll email you the tips, because I think it helps engagement, because we were going to pass it, and I was like, no, we're going to help engagement. And then after this, the first 3 people who ask me questions, I give you a prize. We have prizes. Okay, so here's the 7 tips for 2018 business success. Review your financials regularly. I mean, review them. Don't let your accountant review them. You review them. Monitor them, evaluate them, adjust, and do cash flow adjustments. That's a hard thing to do, but you got to do it. Retool your marketing, your brand, and your graphics. Watch the trends. 7 touches really has increased, but you want to send thank you notes. So you want your brand to be current, and you want it to be relevant, but you also want people to like smile when they see you, like the whole Instagram thing. You want people to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's Leslie. I love her stuff, you know? And then you want to understand your competition. So if your business is, like someone said, entertainment, then you want to go to a Dave & Buster's and you want to know what they're doing. If your business is natural hair, then you want to go to Aveda and you want to be like every single Aveda salon, you know all about what they're doing and how wonderful it smells there and all that kind of stuff. You want to understand your competition. You don't want to be your competition, but you want to understand them. And then you want to promote your strengths. So our strengths is customer service. Our strengths is not cheap. We do have economical value items, but that is not what our strength is. We have those items for you to purchase, but our strength is customer service and design and putting on a wow thing. And then you want to make sure that you understand social media. So it's social media or bust. Don't get left in the dust. You want to make sure you have IG, which is Instagram Live. You want to have videos. You want to have feeds that are transparent, that are authentic. That's the new trend. So I'm a super private person, and this is really hard. You know, they're live streaming this, okay? So, but for the glory of God, I would not be open. I would be, you know, completely out of it because I don't have any money. But I'm doing this because this is my passion, and this is what I enjoy, and I'm trusting in that. So that's what the live video feeds are. They're just something where people are looking at you, you're like, oh my gosh, look at her. You know, we know that I don't have my hair done today, but nobody else cares. They just want it to be authentic. So when you're doing your social media, you want to do like a video blog. You don't want to just be doing what they were doing 10 years ago. You want to do what they're supposed to be doing in 2 years so that you don't have to keep reinventing yourself. And then you want to network with intention, which is what Amy was trying to get me to say, but I forgot it. It was one of my notes.
It was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, you're right. You want to look at people on the business record list or on, like, Jackie Easley. You guys don't know. She's with Mercy, but she is the guru of knowing everybody in Des Moines. You do not want her to leave here without getting her card because she knows everybody and she knows what's going on. So when you network with intention, you're saying, okay, this is my purpose. This is where I'm trying to go. Who do you know in your network that I need to get to know? Not just networking to go around and collect cards. And what I do with my friend Mocha is we'll go to an event together and then we'll divide the room and then we'll go afterwards and have coffee or we'll have dinner. And it's so much fun because, like, who did you meet? Oh, who'd you meet? I met this person. Oh, this is a good person for you. And so she recently, like, hooked me up with an amazing job at Hoyt Sherman just because she knows some people and she, you know, referred them. There's 6 degrees of separation between everyone. So whoever you're trying to get to, somebody in your network will be able to hook you up with that person. And then balance. So this is where you were saying, like, the work-life balance. So pray, rest, assess. If you are in a retail establishment or a place that has a front door, make sure you go through the front door so you know what your customer experience is like. If you are somebody who only has an online presence, make sure you have someone give you feedback on what that looks like, because we can get jaded. We can just be in the business and not recognizing how the business appears. So even in your office, like if you have a certain way that your office looks, well, have somebody else come in and say, well, if I come into your office, this is what I perceive you to be as a person. And so you want somebody else to criticize and give you comment on that. So those are my 7. And if you email me, then I can email them to you. 7
So that's an
tips.
invitation to email her. So do it. There's lots of good stuff to be shared there. And visit the shop. I went to see it for the first time, and I got the tour in the back of where they actually make the frames too. I didn't realize it was custom frames until I walked in. So, okay, we have prizes, and we have about 5 minutes until 1, and I'm sure there's some questions. So let's make sure. Oh, look at 2 prizes right there. Okay, Q.
As far as social media, so how have you overcome that fear, or maybe not necessarily fear, but how have you overcome that to help your business be successful?
I think you have to recognize what you're going to promote on social media. So, and then you also have to kind of let your guard down and put some of your personal things out there. I would just say make sure that you're comfortable with it being on the worldwide news network. So whatever you post out there, like when I did HR training, make sure you're comfortable with being on the front page of the newspaper. Make sure whatever you post, you're comfortable with it being on CNN or on Fox News or whatever station it is, because that's how people are going to perceive you. And it's okay to focus on your business when you're talking. And it's also okay to focus on things that are your personal interests. So if you love chocolate and you love cupcakes, then you can talk about, cupcakes and chocolate and how that's natural and how, it helps enhance your love for, cocoa or whatever it is that's your thing, just so people have a little bit of insight into you. And then, modulate it. But the way the things are going now, people want to see into you. And they want you to be more transparent. So you can limit how much of yourself you tell them, but you do need to share some of yourself related to your brand, like, the stuff that's related to your brand.
So, two questions. One is in working with businesses, how do you deliver to the clients? Do you go after corporate as well as individuals? And then I wanted to know also about, like, benefits planning. What I do, you help people figure out, you don't have an HR department, you're it. You don't have places, retirement planning at the beginning is out the back door, but you're looking at later. Those kind of things. How do you manage those 2 things?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. The retirement plan, I'll go to you, which you're trying to help me all the time. But I think you have to have somebody that you trust, know, like, and trust that helps you. I went through all of my retirement savings because I knew I was going to put it in the business, but I had somebody who was on the outside helping me modulate how often I would go to the well. Like, you know, I didn't put it all in at one time. I did a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there, and now I'm trying to build it back up again. In terms of like the benefit piece, at one point in time I had health care. Then I didn't have health care in terms of my part-time employees. Now they don't have health care. So those are things that you want to look into and get resources for your staff or for yourself to learn more about. And I'm sure you guys have some contacts. I know some people if you need a resource. And in terms of corporate work, I'm always looking for more corporate work. I'm always trying to, a lot of it comes through personal relationships. I have done mailers to corporations, specifically like most recently when there was the Solheim Cup, I had that video showing all of the people who were listed in an article that were sponsors of the Solheim Cup. I did a mailer to them. I had one person come into the store from that. So I just continue to touch bases with that person. They bought a flag for me that I purchased for framing. They haven't gotten it framed yet, but I still touch bases with them. So, I mean, I would say that going to chamber events is a great way to contact business people and get involved in those events. And also have coffees with people and let them know what you're doing. Be transparent about that, and also let them know what you might be able to do for them, because it has to be a win-win. It has to be something that you say, okay, well, what is it that I can do for you to help you grow professionally, or what is it that can help you to do to grow your business as well? And people like that. Even though you might not be able to help them, they like the fact that you're at least asking, because most times people are used to them just getting asked to help them. So
We got one more prize, and we don't even know what they are yet, so.
I was just wondering, like, how often do you recommend giving, like, specials or discounts or offers?
That's a great question.
It's seasonal, and the good thing about being in a franchise, they do kind of encourage you to do that. You don't want to always be on sale, and you want to change that. But in our American economy, people are used to it. So you have to do something. And even if they have a great relationship with you, like, for example, I have a business owner that I know, and he has a service business, and normally the business is like $100, just to say. Well, recently he put it down for a special for this week for, you know, $59. Well, then 3 people said they wanted to get it. So what he gets out of that is a call to action. So you can have a business and you can have a great model, but if you feel like your business is slow, then you need to have a call of action to bring people in. And then you have to know your industry, which is why you have to understand your competition. You have to know when the peak seasons are. You are not giving 100% off when it's peak season. You're not even giving 60% off when it's peak season, because that's when you're going to make your cash. You're going to give a greater discount, or typically you should give a greater discount when it's a slower season. So if your season is busy during the summertime, then it's full price for ice cream. I'm sorry. You know, ice cream is not on sale during summertime. If you know any ice cream cones that are on sale during the summertime, let me know. Because their season is slow. I mean, it's a short season, but after that, then you can buy like 2 pints of ice cream in December, 2 for 1. You know, because they know people are not thinking ice cream when it's, you know, 80 degrees below. They're just not thinking about it. So they have to move the product. And so you just got to know your season, know when your time is, and then have a call to action to bring people in on a regular basis. And I think, to answer your question, knowing your competition and targeting people, like targeting certain audiences, like, you know, men who golf are a big resource for me. Men who have jerseys, or women who have jerseys, people who like sports, that, you know, this is a good time to target those people because of the big game, Iowa State. So, you know, just knowing your people and going to that target and giving them something that they say, oh yeah, I've been really waiting to do that, and then giving a special, even if it's like $5 off, it's going to be more than 0 off. So you'll get them, you know, in the door.
And why she's talking about sports is because people actually spend a lot of money to frame their jerseys.
Yep.
Okay, one more, yeah.
taking up time, but but I just wanted to say, you're talking about all the online stuff. Don't forget, people, that if there's somebody really special, they would love to get a note by U.S. mail too. From the time I came into my business, they're like, don't just email them, send them a note. If they're really important in the future, you got to make sure you do that because they're surprised to get that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what we try to do, is to write thank you notes. People, they're tired of getting junk mail and they're tired of getting bills. So if you are the one person that they get something nice from in the mail, they'll remember you for that.
Okay, I know. Oh.
Yeah.
Postcard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I know we're running over, so we'll break, but you got a little time to stick around, right? If anybody has any questions. Thank you so much for coming. Take whatever you want off the table. Oh my gosh, okay, I forget every time. You all have evaluation forms. If you could take 30 seconds and all complete those very quickly. It's important to us to get your feedback and to submit that feedback. So you could leave it on the table when you're done.
And anyone who wants to take a poster and put in a business of the art event that's on the table, feel free to do that.
Are you going selfie or you want me to take it?
Yes.
Okay. I would love to do this.
She's done her social media because I don't have that.